Oh, hey guys, we're going to do our homework. This is our homework for Thursday. The next 4 days of homework, we're going to be simulating an FSA test. So there's 60 questions total. Today we're going to do 15. Then we're going to do 15 tomorrow, and then 15 next week. So these are all exactly the kind of questions you're going to see on your FSA test. Kaylin and Mr. Spina and Elijah are going to help me. We're going to do it the same way, where I'm going to tell you to pause it. You guys pause the video, try to solve it on your own. And then the four of us are going to talk it through for like 30 seconds and tell you what the right answer was. And I'll tell you whether it was a level easy, medium, or hard for the FSA test. So everybody right now, take a second, pause the video and try to find your answer for number 1. Okay, guys, what do you think? Everybody's back now. What do you think about number 1?
Okay, Kaylin, what do you think?
I know you guys didn't have a ton of time to think about it, but what answer? Can't we look? We know that it wants us to find R, right? And R is right here.
Yep. So, Kaylin, what do you think that is? 3 and what?
I think the denominator is 4.
Well, let's look. Here's the sections. It's broken into 1, 2, 3 sections. So what's your denominator?
Oh, 3.
Yeah, so your denominator's got to be 3, right? So that eliminates these as choices. So now we need to figure out where that R is, Elijah. Where's the R? How many over from the 3? Count them with me. 1,
1, 2.
2. So what's our numerator?
Our numerator is 2, so it's B.
So the answer would be B, right? Good job.
It's just B.
All right. And that is an easy problem. You need to be able to get that one right for sure. All right, let's take a look at number 2. This is PEMDAS that we've been talking about. It says, what is the last step in this equation? If you're doing the homework video, pause it now.
PEMDAS.
Okay, so they paused and now they're back. So let's work through this. Which one of you guys can tell me what's the first thing we need to do? We need to find the last step in this equation. So right before we get the answer. So what do I have to do first?
Come on, guys. What's the first step with PEMDAS? What does P stand for? PEMDAS.
Parentheses.
Yes, parentheses.
Right?
You have to do that first.
And so then you've got to do your multiplication first. So we would have 14 minus 6. That's one of the steps. 14 minus 6 is 8. So now we would have 31 plus 8 times 2.
What's the next step, guys?
I think you add.
No, think. PEMDAS.
What comes first, the multiplication or the adding?
Multiplication.
There you go. You multiply.
So now we would do 31 plus 16 because 8 times 2 is 16, right?
Yeah.
Now, you got to add that together to get the answer, but it's saying what's the last step. So the last step that you have to do is this one, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. 31
this one
plus
is not asking you for the answer. Now we could do the answers 48 if we add them together, right? But it's asking you the last step. So your last step is this one. All right, good job.
There you go. 47 on that one. Remember, if you put 47 as an answer on that one, you get it wrong. You have to put 31 plus 16.
Pay attention to the question. All right, everybody at home, pause it and take a look at number 3. Ooh. Oh, and that previous problem was a medium difficulty. This one is medium difficulty. All right, take a second, look at number 3. Okay, guys, let's talk about number 3. Now, when we do number 3, it's adding a fraction. So do any of you guys know what's the first thing we have to find?
Find your common denominator.
Exactly. What would be the common denominator for 3 and 6?
9. No, 18.
Oh, think about it. What number goes in? What number is the least one that 6 and 3 will go into?
Yeah, you don't want to multiply them. You want to think, does 3 go into 6?
Does 3 go into 6 evenly?
Yes.
And does 6 go into 6? So what's the smallest number they both go into? Yeah, it's 6. You got it right.
Now look, because they show you in this picture, remember this has 3 sections in it because it's the 1/3, right?
But what happens if you cut that picture in half, Mr. Sponklin? Cut that in half.
This is saying that we need to take this picture and we need to make the denominator 6. So now we make it into 6 pieces.
Now you
And
can
how
see.
many shaded pieces do we have?
You have 2 shaded pieces.
2. So now we can put those here. And now you can just add up the shaded pieces, and there's 3 shaded pieces out of our 6 pieces
You could have
total.
did that with the picture. You just have to make them equal. They both
And
have to
this
be
is
6.
an easy problem, so you've got to get that one right for you people at home. All right, number 4. Pause the video and solve number 4. Okay, the key to number 4, Jenna has a 1/100th amount of Legos as Tommy. Tommy has 4,300. 4,300. How many Legos does Jenna have?
Oh, I got it.
When you go by a fraction, your total number is going to get smaller, right? When you multiply by a fraction, when it says 1/100th, that means Jenna has a lot less, right? So your
How
answer
many less? What does 100 mean? How many places do you move in 100?
10.
No, how many places do you move, like move the decimal over?
How many zeros are in 100?
2.
2.
So we have to take away the 2 zeros.
There it is.
1/100th. So how many Legos does Jenna have?
43.
That's right. That's
It's
exactly
as easy as that. But you got to remember, you people at home, the multiplying by a fraction means your number's getting smaller. So don't go the other way and add 2 zeros, or you'll get way too big. This next question is asking us to use the coordinate plane, and the who's tapping?
Beatty.
Try not to tap, because all we can hear is you tapping then. The questions are basically going to ask us which one is 2 away on the x-axis. So we're not going to spend a lot of time because the question's on the other side. But just remember, they label the x-axis, right? So they want to know which one of these shapes is 2 away. So you're just going to look, this line, they all have shapes on them, right?
Yep.
So it's
2 away.
saying which one is 2 away. Well, let me use a different color so you guys can see. The square is 1, 1, 2 away from the triangle, right?
Right.
The what's another one that's 2 away? Let's see. The star is 1, 2, 3. No, the arrow here is 1, 2 away. So when you see the questions here, this is what it'll look like on your test. It says which 2 shapes are 2 units away on the x-axis?
The x-axis. That's important.
So the x-axis, remember, are these. So you would just look for shapes that are 2 apart. So your actual answer for this, it's hard to see both of it, so I'm just going to write it in here. Basically, the star and the circle and the arrow and the heart are the ones that are 2 apart. So just right. But you guys can see how that goes back and forth. We can't.
And then you got to give the coordinates of those shapes. So you got to give the exact coordinates x and y.
Yeah, we'll look back at that on a different problem when you can see both screens. All right, everybody pause and do number 6.
I can't see. What is it?
All right, guys. Number 6 is saying Brinkley, Aaron, and Calvin. How many people is that?
3.
3.
Got it.
3
3.
people share these pizzas. How many pizzas are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pizzas, right? So it wants us to use the diagram to select the correct answer down here. Now, when we look, they're all division, right?
Yep.
But now let's look at the answers. Some of them are less than 1 and some are more. If I was going to break up these pizzas, there's only 3 people and 5 pizzas. So is each person going to get at least 1 pizza?
Yep.
Yes, right? Let's say Brinkley gets this pizza, Aaron gets this pizza, and Calvin gets this one. So the answer is going to be at least 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then we have to break up these 2 pizzas among the 3 friends. So that would eliminate A and B as a choice because only C and D have 1s as the answer, right? So now I could, if I want to, just put their names in here again. B, A, C, and B, A, C. So the numerator is the top number is how many pieces each person gets. How many pieces does B get?
2.
We already know that B is already getting 1 whole piece plus 2 out of the 3, right? And doesn't A get the same amount and C get the same amount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would our answer be?
C.
C, right? So you can break it down just like that. Very, very simple. And remember, this one doesn't, Elijah, you said this earlier. A denominator of 5 would mean that these pizzas up here would have to be broken into 5 pieces, right?
Yeah.
So you could kind of eliminate this one right at the beginning. None of these pizzas are broken into 5 pieces.
Nope, that
Hope
works.
you guys see how you can use those strategies to find the answer, right? Okay, number 7. Pause if you're at home and try to work it out on your own. Okay, guys, so number 7 is saying that there's, we did this, 6/10 of a piece of lasagna, right?
Yeah.
And we want to divide them into full pieces. And we want each piece to be 0.2. So let's think about this. We need there to be full pieces. So we want to know how many pieces of lasagna she can create. Now, if you look at the choices, if we're making full pieces, there's only one answer that has a full whole number, right?
Yep.
Which one is it? You're just looking at the answers here. What's
Which
the
one
only
is the
one
whole
that
number?
does not have a decimal in it?
A.
Hey, yeah.
A, right? So A is your answer because we're making full pieces. So there can never be 1/12 or 12th or third of a piece, right? Now, if you're confused, really all this is 0.2 divided into the 0.6 that's left over. Let's get rid of this so you can see. Your decimal moves right up. The 2 goes into the 6 3 times. Oh, wait. What did I do wrong? I'm doing it wrong.
No, that's right. So if
Well,
you
I
have
got
a decimal,
0.3 though. Oh, I have to move the decimal, right?
yeah, when you start it, you move the decimal to get a whole number.
Oh, I just blanked out. So you got to move your decimal over,
So
move
that
it
means you
over.
move the other decimal, because when you move one decimal, you have to move the
Oh.
other one too.
Don't let that happen to you. I did not move the decimal. And then I would have, without moving the decimal, I would have got D as the answer. So be careful. But if you remember, this is why you have to think about the words. You're making full pieces. This is the only answer that has a full piece in it. You should be able to get that quickly. All right, if you're at home, pause and do number 8. Okay, guys, this one I thought was a horrible question the last time we did it.
Oh, I like this one. Half per day. You just got to know what a half a day is.
So it's pretty easy because you take 1/2 times, dividing up the 8 stores she goes to, right?
Yeah.
So half of the day divided by, oh, I can't even do my division sign anymore. And that's pretty much all it is. Who knows what we have to do to solve this? I'll give you a hint. It's a word that starts with an R.
Reciprocal.
Yes, good. That's exactly right.
So I'm going to keep it like this so everybody sees all the steps. This is actually 8/1, right?
Yep.
Then to use the reciprocal, make it multiplication, I flip it, 1/8. So then you would multiply this out and get 1/16. And this is a medium problem. So you got to remember, you need to know that half of her day, it spends half of her day. That's the half, right? The part that confused me when it said half of the day, I always want to use 12 because that's half a day. But I guess I looked a little too deep into that. All right, if you're at home, pause and do number 9.
3 to the right. That's what they want.
Okay, so guys, let's look. We want to know 3 places to the right. So this went 3 places to the right. See, it went 1, 1, 2, 3 to create this. So it's saying which descriptions, there's an S there,
Yep.
explain, choose all that are possible. So if we went from a small number that is a 4 to a big number that's a 4,000, did we multiply or divide if it got way bigger?
How do you make it bigger? Multiplication or division?
Multiplication.
Good.
So let's take a look. We can easily take out the 2 that say divided because they don't make sense.
Yep.
Now we have to look at the other 2 and see if they make sense. Well, 4.823 times 1,000 would be moving the decimal 3 spots. 1, 2, 3.
That's
So
right.
that one totally works. This one, they're just trying to trick you, but isn't 10 to the 3rd is a 1 with 3 zeros, right? So
1,000.
isn't that, it's the exact same problem, right? It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So for the purposes of your canvas,
you choose 2.
this is going to be A, B, C, and D. And make sure you pick B and D. All right, couple more. Let's keep going. Which statements, pause and do number 10 before I start talking. Which statements are true about 4 times 2 to the 5th? Circle all the correct answers. Okay, guys, so let's think about this. We've talked about this. If you multiply a whole number by a fraction, is it going to get bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Okay, good. So we know the answer is going to be smaller than 4. And let's look what the first one says. The product will be less than 4. Isn't that exactly what Elijah just said?
Yep.
Yeah.
So for number 10, the first choice would work. For a problem like this, you got to look at each choice and see if they make sense. The next one says the product will be greater than 4. Well, if we just said it's going to be less than 4, and all of a sudden it can't get greater then. That doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
The next one says the product will be equal to 4. But Elijah just told us it's going to be less. So is it all of a sudden going to be equal now?
It's impossible. If you have 4 and you multiply anything against it, you're going to have more.
Now, the last one says the product, which is our answer, will be greater than 2/5. Well, this is 2/5, and if we're multiplying it by 4, the 4 is going to get smaller, but you're not going to get less than the 2/5 that you're multiplying it by, right? So it's going to be somewhere in between that. So that one would be correct. So
because if you do 4 times 2/5, that's 8/5 or 1 3/5.
For you guys doing this at home, your answers would be A and D.
Correct.
All right, let's look at number 11. Pause the video and see what you get.
It's a good one. Oh, this is pretty easy if you know how long a foot is.
So you got to know how long a foot is. Any of you guys know how long a foot is?
How many inches?
How many inches in a foot?
5.
Nope, 12.
9.
Close.
12 inches in a foot. You guys got to know that. A ruler's 12 inches long, right? Now, Elijah said it a whole bunch of times. We're going to be breaking that foot up by our denominator. How many pieces?
4.
Yeah,
right?
You got it.
So you're going to break up this 12 into 4 pieces. It's basically this, right?
Yep.
So
12
what is your
divided by
answer?
3.
You could draw a picture. Just split
Yeah,
it.
I like to draw a picture. Here's the keychain, and we
Okay,
break it up
12.
into 4 pieces.
And the whole thing's 12, so it's just one piece of it is 4. 4. There you go.
Oh, I only broke it up 3 times. Okay.
3 times. You got to get it in there. The 3 4s and 12.
Oh, everybody pause and do number 12. Mr. Spina, 12 is very hard. I had to look at the answer and I couldn't understand it.
I need a second to read it.
Well, we don't have all this time on the video.
Okay,
so
go ahead because
I'm
I
just
can
gonna
sit
go
here and
through it.
read it.
So it's saying that cranberry punch, because everybody that's listened to this video has read it already and paused. So I'll just describe it to you guys. There's cranberry punch and strawberry punch, and both recipes call for seltzer.
Okay.
There's 4 extra quarts of seltzer needed for the cranberry punch than for the strawberry punch. They use 20 quarts total. We want to know how many gallons. This is where the trick comes in.
Convert it.
We're going from quarts to gallons.
You got to convert.
Will be used to make the strawberry punch. So what we need to do is, we know we use 20 quarts total. The cranberry uses 4 extra, so we need to take the 4 extra out. So we used 16 quarts to make the cranberry and strawberry, and we've still got to take apart the other quarts. We just took out the 4 extra that were not involved, right? So these are the 16 quarts that are still used. Anybody here know how many quarts are in a gallon?
I do.
How many?
4.
So you've got to now convert the quarts into gallons. So you've got to take the 4 and divide it in for a gallon into this. So that means we used 4 gallons of seltzer, right?
Yep.
Right.
Now, 2 of those gallons were still used for the cranberry punch. So we've got to take 2 of them out, and that leaves you with how many we used for the strawberry punch, which is 2.
Yeah.
I thought this whole first part was very confusing for the kids, and I don't think this question is worded the greatest. But the answer is 2.
Think about that to get it.
They used
Draw
20.
that out and get that easier too, but we don't have time. But I would have drawn that out.
They used 20 quarts total. The cranberry took 4 extra, so you take those 4 out.
Yeah.
That gives you 16 to make the cranberry and strawberry together. Then you've got to know that 4 quarts
is a gallon
equals 1 gallon, or you'll never get this. Now, for your FSA test, at the very first page of your FSA test is going to have a whole bunch of formulas on it, and I promise that one's going to be on it. So if you get to a point, and here's the next thing, Mr. Spina, if you don't read quarts here and gallons here, you're never going to get this. You're never going to get it. I promise you, I did this problem 3 times before I figured it out. All right, number 13, we've been doing forever. Pause and solve it. Who knows the formula for volume on this call? Who knows?
Ooh, I know.
L times width times height or whatever.
Exactly.
Width times.
What is the length?
Base.
What is the length?
The length is 4.
No, the length. How long is it?
6.
What is the width?
The width is 5. 4.
Yeah. So that's the base. That's the base.
What's the height?
7.
There you go.
Yeah. And here's the trick for this problem, Mr. Spina. The height is written up here in the problem.
It's exactly right. Yeah.
So when you guys do your math here, you multiply this, you'll get 168. Please don't miss that one. This is a medium difficulty problem, so they're expecting you to get that one.
Gotta read.
All right, 2 more. Pause the video and do number 14.
Let's see, run. Ooh, I like this one.
This is a medium difficulty problem.
It's a good one.
So, guys, let's think about this. He runs 9/10 of a mile every day, or walks 9/10 of a mile every day.
Of the time.
This time he decides to jog for a quarter of the time. So he's jogging for a quarter of this. So I've got to make that smaller. So if I want to make a fraction smaller,
How do you make a fraction smaller, guys?
You have to divide.
Nope, think about it. That's only a whole number. If I want to make a fraction get smaller, I don't divide. I do what?
Multiply.
Yep.
Multiply. But now let's look at our choice. So really, the problem here would look like this, right? And that's going to give you the answer over here, which is fine. But think about this. You're definitely not adding, right? Because this is the total. This is how far he goes. So you're not going to add another quarter mile because that would make the race bigger, right? It's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
You can't subtract because he didn't run. He jogged a quarter of this. He didn't jog for a quarter. So B could be confusing. You might pick B, but you have to remember 9/10 of a mile. You have to know the rules. When they give you a fraction, you've got to multiply to solve that. And it's not division because division, you'd have to use the reciprocal multiply and it's going to get bigger.
Now, Mr. Conklin, in that problem right there, the giveaway of that, there's a single word that tells you to multiply in that problem. One word. It walks 9/10 of. When you hear of, that is multiplication every time. That is always of means multiplying.
Right when you see of, you know you got to multiply. And this is tricky because the word of is what switches it. Because it's not saying he ran a whole mile. This isn't a quarter of a mile that he ran. He's running a quarter of this 9/10. That's why you have to multiply.
Remember that word.
And number 15, pause and take your time and figure out what it says. Okay, so Elijah, you just said it. Tell us again. Volume equals what?
Length times width times height.
There you go.
So now all you got to do is read these choices down here and pick the one that makes sense. So Elijah, the first one, right when A says add, are there any adding signs in what Elijah just told us?
No, there's no adds.
There's nothing about adding, so that can't be the answer. Now it says add the length and hit width. Is that what Elijah told us? No, that doesn't make sense. Now it says determine the area of the base. Well, area is what? Who remembers what area is?
Area equals multiplication.
Length times width.
Good, that's right.
That's this part, right?
Yeah.
So we can both C and D say determine the area of the base, so they both could be right because now we got this part. But now we need to find this part, right? We need to find which one's going to tell us to multiply the height because that's the only thing that's left, right? So let's look back at our choices. C says then multiply by the height. That's probably it, right? Let's see what's wrong with D. What does D say? Add.
Nope.
So your answer for that one would be C, and this is we
made it.
This is considered an easy problem on the FSA test, so you got to get this one.
That's it. That was
all right, guys. Thanks for your help. We appreciate it, and we will do more tomorrow.
That was fun.
Bye, guys.
Bye.